Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to tackle a bluegrass reel called Whiskey Before Breakfast, which works perfectly on the Irish mandolin as an Irish reel. We're going to look at putting in triplets, lots of single note triplets and chromatic runs and stuff. I'm going to talk about doing them on the mandolin. I play them on the banjo the whole time, teach them on the banjo the whole time. The principle is exactly the same, but definitely in the bluegrass world, triplets are not as common as they are in Irish music. So I'm going to show you how to put them into Whiskey Before Breakfast to make a very nice piece of music. Let's talk about triplets. The reason they're called triplets, to my mind and in my opinion, is because in their truest nature, they are three notes in the space of two. Often you will see triplets notated, and not always by Irish musicians, as two 16th notes and an 8th note. But I think that if you played it like that, it's going to sound a little bit jerky. Where the real spirit of the triplet is that it's the three notes in the space of two. So if you were to play it in a reel that's slightly slower, you don't jerk at the two notes if they're notated as 2/16. And what I mean by that is this first 8 bars of Whiskey in the Jar played a lot slower, but with the triplet in place. So when you speed it up to real speed, you maintain the 3 in the space of 2, as opposed to that what I sometimes hear as a jerky sounding attempt to do a double 16th note. And I think even by imagining the triplet as 3 notes that are evenly spaced over where you would normally play 2, I think it takes the pressure out of the triplet. And often I will find that by telling somebody that a triplet is just 3 single notes in the space of 2, it breaks down the hoodoo of, oh my God, there's a triplet coming, I'm going to mess it up. And the jerkiness that sometimes comes into your right hand, squeeze into the wrist, squeeze into the pick, in an attempt to play this huge big deal, which is the triplet, when in fact, it's just one note played 3 times. So break the hoodoo down. It's not a big deal. The softer you play them, the easier they are to play. Let's just look at the first part with the triplet. Here's the notes of the first part. And the obvious place to put a triplet is on a long note. So what would normally be a quarter note, we're going to put in 3 notes as a triplet. Now let the pick glide over the strings. Now for those who are not familiar, golden rule of triplets. Always play the triplet on a down up down. Downstroke is your strongest stroke, gravity, heading toward the floor, all of that. If you do it on the down up down followed by a down, you'll maintain alternate picking leading with the downstroke. The triplet is always going to come on the 1 or the 3. It doesn't really happen on the 2 or the 4 in real playing because it sounds a little bit jerky when it goes in on the 2 and the 4. So we're going to stick with putting them in on the 1 and the 3. So the triplet is down, up, down, and because the note after the triplet is also a downbeat, down, up, down, down, we're going to hit a down, up, down, followed by a down. At the risk of repeating myself. So here we go. Here is Whiskey Before Breakfast. Going to play it at a very moderate pace, but with the emphasis on putting in the triplets. And I just want you to watch out for the feel of them. There are 3 notes in the space of 2. And for the down, up, down, followed by a down when we do one triplet on its own. Later on, we might do a run of triplets. We'll talk about that. So that is single note triplets, as in one note played 3 times. Now, a triplet can also move melodically, chromatically sometimes over 3 adjacent frets. Sometimes it's 2 notes and 1 beside it. So I'm just going to play through now, focusing more on what I call 3-note triplets. So these are triplets where the melody is moving. And hopefully you'll understand what I'm talking about. You'll also be able to see this in the tab. If you're a tab reader, and stave notation, all available on Patreon. Those 3-note triplets might help explain what a single note triplet is supposed to sound like. As I play it now, I realize that doing especially something like that, naturally that sounds like 3 notes in the space of 2 because it's 3 individual notes. And so I think sometimes the confusion is that when we go to play a single note triplet, we think we need to jerk at it, whereas in actual fact, the picking, the spacing, and the timing is exactly the same as I hope you can hear that it's the very same. It might just sound different because it's one note played 3 times as opposed to the run of notes, but the rhythm and the right hand are the very same for both. That might help just break down some of the fear or the confusion around the single note triplets. So let's play around with the tune with both types of triplets, all the triplets. So I mentioned earlier, triplets down, up, down, followed by a down. What happens if you're doing 2 triplets in a row? Truthfully, at any speed, at any reasonable speed, that is going to be tremolo action, which is down, up, down, up, down, up. So the rule that a triplet is always down, up, down is only true when it's a single triplet on its own. So down, up, down, followed by a down, and on we go with the tune. If you're doing 2 triplets in a row, it's way more efficient to do it as down, up, down, up, down, up. And that can be something like this. Second part of the tune. So what that is, note-wise, it is 2 triplets back to back. And in the tune it sounds like this. And it works as a down, up, down, up, because the 2 triplets back to back. To try and double it so that it's down, up, down would mean quite a lot of pick work. Slowly, it's totally doable. But when we come up to any kind of real speed, the other way is way easier. Here's another round of the tune, bringing the pace up a little bit. This time, I want you to listen out for the double triplets, and sometimes maybe even a full tremolo if I can figure out where to drop it in. So hopefully you'll hear lots there. Now, I shoehorned in a couple of them for sure. Anything that has 2 or 3 or 4 triplets in a row is tremolo action. Down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. So hopefully that clarifies the difference between a single note triplet, 3 note triplets, and a series of triplets, which is tremolo. To get the slow version of this tune, if you just want to learn the melody, head on over to Patreon. That is fully tabbed out and written in stave and ABCs if you're one of those players as well. I'll also fully notate all of the other versions of the tune that I've done, and I'll create a couple of play-along tracks so that you can jump in, learn the basic melody, add in some ornamentation, and this round where I'm going to play around with variation, which if you're a bluegrass player should be very easy, but in Irish music variation is kind of different to the idea of, you know, a kind of a bluegrass round of a tune where you just go off and you know, largely do your own thing that sounds somewhere in the neighborhood of the real. Variations in Irish music are kind of different. They're just different ways of staying within the framework of the tune itself, but just coming at the corners in a different way. That sounds really cool, but I have no idea if it's even accurate. All right, I use a platform to teach called Sound Slice. The beauty of that is that you can slow something like that right down, because that's pretty fast. I totally get it. That's just, you know, me kind of having fun. How useful that is for somebody that's learning, well, all of it will be tabbed out so that you can see exactly what the notes are, but you can also slow the playback speed down. You can loop 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bars so that they repeat over and over if there's a piece that you want to learn. It's a very, very valuable tool. It's called Sound Slice, and I use that for all of my lessons on mandolin and on banjo. So if you want more of that, there's 75, 76 lessons at the moment, probably 500 tutorial videos. That's available on my Patreon. That's Enda Scahill Banjo. And if you like this kind of content, please leave a comment, hit subscribe, hit the like button, turn on notifications, you know, send up a smoke signal, all of it. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it. And if you'd like more mandolin content, do please let me know.